quantitative, and it will get at that question. I did say quality of life, and that is balanced with a number of other things in our land use code. So to get at neighborhood compatibility, there are setbacks from the residential. There are setbacks, and there are height limitations within certain, within 50 feet of the residential. Now, those were deemed to be appropriate in 2001 when they were adopted. It sounds like, now we're having second thoughts about those, and that's entirely appropriate as well. I mean, that's the way the system works. If there's something in the land use code that doesn't seem to be meeting the needs of the quality of life in the community, then that's what brings change to the code.
Let me just make a little comment about the last two comments. First of all, I think the neighborhood association can take any position that it wants to on this, and it should be in a job of representing the neighborhood and reflecting the local values. So I don't think it's limited to what the code says in terms of the position it takes. That's not really necessarily relevant. This particular development is on C2 zoning, and this is a lesson in the problems with the C2 zone. Okay, I consider it to be a rogue zone. All right, because basically anything goes in C2. You can build way too high, way too big, way too broad. There just aren't any requirements. And so the city desperately needs to overhaul the C2 zone. We've known that for 20 years. We've seen Capstone go up. We didn't learn anything, didn't do anything. We saw the hub go up. We didn't learn anything, didn't do anything in response to that. The city has no plan to do anything about it. The planning department has no plan to do anything about it. City council has no plan to do anything about it. So the problem, number one problem, is a C2 zone. Right? This is a C2 zone. And the only reason that there's anything that the public has to comment on is because it was so big that it required a traffic impact analysis, because it generated more than 100 trips during a peak hour. That is really the only reason they have an adjustment review, but those are minor. So really the only reason it's before the public is because it's so big that it generated more than 100 trips. Otherwise, you would have no opportunity to comment on it whatsoever. So just to give you an idea of other development on C2 zone, which is what lines Willamette Street, all of Willamette's commercial area, and all of Woodfield Station is C2. So all that could be developed without any public oversight at all. All right. So it's a concern, I think, and it needs to be addressed. And so the limits of what we have to work with here in terms of our public review of this process have to do with traffic, because the traffic impact analysis is a requirement.
If I could just add to that real quick, that's one of the reasons why our neighborhood association is working to develop a refinement plan, so that we can take a look at code like C2 and decide, is this what we really want here? Do we want to move things around? So we are going to be working on that.
Hi, my name is Fawn. I actually live right there. And I have numerous questions and comments, but I'm going to keep it to this. And I don't know if I'm totally off on my question here, but as I know it or believe, the city owns the property that runs the slough that runs directly between Albertsons and the back parking lot of the property and my fence. My question is, what are they planning on doing? Are they going to put up a wall? Are they going to keep that open? Are they going to close it off? I'm not looking forward to my house vibrating for a year straight and then dealing with everything on top of that. But I guess the very first place I wanted to start was that.
You're talking about the property along the back of Albertsons.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Well, it runs all along the back of the property.
So you live on Alder?
Yes.
The residential area, along the
Just-
residential home?
So this is it right here. I live right there. There's all of this.
I think it's utility.
I'm not sure. So that was my wonder, was if they were gonna build a wall or if they were gonna put up a fence or anything that's in that in-between section.
What's currently there, what's currently in their plan is a landscape buffer for the parking.
Okay.
It's minimal, but it's in some ways a buffer. Here's a.
Yeah.
It's your plan.
Back there.
So there's a 7-foot wide landscape buffer that will include trees.
Yep. Okay.
Yeah, I'm assuming is there already a fence there or?
There, well, it's all of the properties.
It's a shortcut distance. Yeah,
Yeah.
so 6 foot high fence.
I've been told that they were talking about closing that off, so that there would no longer be
That
that.
was my next question, but I, you know,
That's what I was told.
all right, thank you.
Hello, my name is Rosemary Nybro, and I live basically off the corner of 33rd and Hilliard. I have a lot of the concerns that have been expressed thus far, but I would like to add a couple additional concerns, questions, opinions. I have 2 small children. The traffic on 33rd is already very busy. It's not exactly a safe place to allow your children to go out. I understand it's my responsibility to watch them. However, with the increase in traffic, and I have no doubt that 33rd will become used even more than it already is, you know, that to me, that kind of poses a safety issue for, you know, people with children, people walking dogs, joggers, cyclists. I mean, I think that's a real issue. My other concern is, and one thing that I don't quite understand, the building sounds to me to be extremely incongruous with the community. We do not have 5-story buildings around here, and I think part of the reason why people like this neighborhood is that, you know, it's a very sort of low-key, kind of mellow, laid-back, family-friendly place. And by creating this, and this is my opinion, based on other buildings of this type, I see around the city some monstrosity that is going to be made cheaply with poor quality materials and that they will put up as quickly as they can. So how does this fit in the neighborhood?
I would like to something to add. The builder, I had a meeting with the builder, and he's not planning to do it cheaply. The builder's not planning to build it cheaply. He's planning to build, you know, a lot of bells and whistles. It's going to be actually 117 units. They're going to be $2,000 a month in hire and rent, and there are 2 bedrooms. There's going to be a community room. There's going to be a really super duper station for bicyclists to repair bikes.
2 bedrooms, 1 bedroom, studios, and a sub-studio. This is what the
No,
guy
2
told us at the
bedrooms.
original meeting.
Deborah, you're gonna have a range.
We're gonna have a
It's not all
range
2
at the
bedrooms.
original meeting.
That's what he
It's
said.
the 2,000
All right,
for 2
anyway.
bedrooms.
Okay, thank you. Go ahead. Sorry, I'll wrap this up quickly. And I'm kind of, my train of thought derailed here while I was listening to that. Besides children. So the bells and whistles apparently will benefit the developer and the people who can afford to pay $2,000 a month in rent, which I suspect are not a lot of us who actually live in the neighborhood. The one thing that I do want to say is that we can, if we know who the developer is, we know what other properties they own and what other businesses they may be involved in. So I would recommend a boycott. Find out what they own, where it is, and boycott. I also recommend perhaps organizing some kind of protest around the construction site. I mean, we basically have been told there's nothing we can do, you know, there's nothing you can do about it, it's already been decided. Fine. What we can do about it is we can find out what they own, we can boycott those areas, and we can show them by not spending our money, you know, that we don't appreciate being ignored and completely disregarded. Okay, so boycott, find out what the developer owns. I'm certainly going to do it. If anyone else has that plan, let me know. My name is rosemarynigro@gmail.com. Thank you.
One quick point is the city does have a traffic calming program, so if there are existing streets where you're concerned about the speed, not Hilliard, but on local streets, if there are those
33rd
existing
has
streets.
traffic calming.
It does have traffic calming already, okay, well, that's good to know, but if there are other streets. It doesn't work.
31st doesn't work.
They have them, but they don't work.
They don't
They don't
work.
work.
How long have they been in place? Here?
2 years.
6. Oh, okay, and so, I mean,
Very
it is,
first are the speed bumps, and I don't know how much.
No, it don't work.
I mean, it may be worth checking back in with the city. I mean, there's always new advances in traffic calming as well, so I wouldn't give up on that. And just in response to that, it's a done deal. This is a public process that both of these land use applications, we're in the appeal period right now, so anyone can submit an appeal. I believe anybody who's submitted testimony this far can submit an appeal by February 8th at 5 o'clock. So it is not a done deal. I want to point that out
Is
as
the
well.
appeal, is the appeal only based on traffic or other things?
Well, it's either or both land use applications can be appealed. So one is the traffic impact analysis, which is all about the traffic, and the other one is the adjustment review.
So I was hoping people would ask more questions about the traffic. I have a number of comments to make, but I think the point, just in response to Rosemary's comment, is that 33rd was not even included in the traffic impact analysis. So the traffic impact analysis did not look south or west of this project at all. So basically, there is no consideration of the other intersections and streets. So, that was irresponsible, and I think there clearly will be impacts on 33rd. I live on 32nd, and I think that a lot of those impacts will occur on Ferry Street. So I can explain those routes if there's an opportunity.
I think the last speaker showed that you don't want to get the mothers upset. Cindy Allen, Fox Clinic. I'm very concerned about Amazon Corners. The land use code does not fit the area. This is only a 2-lane road. When I drive on Hilliard in the mornings on the traffic at 8:15, there's already a huge bottleneck of traffic. I can't even imagine a possible 117 plus vehicles at this time. And they're all going to funnel out into one area all of a sudden. What time was the traffic study done? That's one question I have. I'm very concerned that traffic will greatly increase on the side residential areas. Many people go to the Peace Health facility.